What's going on, guys? My name's Kyle, and today I'm going to be showing you 3 tips on how you can improve your photos instantly. So number 1, of course, has to be camera, body, and lens setup. Now, a lot of people say it doesn't matter what you shoot to make it doesn't make you a better photographer, and I agree with them 100%. But if you have the means of purchasing even a low quality or potentially high quality camera, I look at it like this. You know, you can cut a tree down with an axe, but like you could take a picture with an iPhone. But if you have the means or an available chainsaw, you use the chainsaw. So this is going to make things a little bit easier to be sped up in the process having a quality camera, because you're always going to want one, and you're always going to have the need for it if you're actually actively shooting photos. Like I said, does a better camera make a better photographer? Absolutely not, because there's a lot of other things that go into photography that are hugely important. But can it bump up your enthusiasm, and can it in photography when you see something cool coming out of a nice camera, and can it overall make the quality of your photos better and more professional quicker? 100% true. So with that being said, I run as of a few days ago, it took like a couple weeks to get in, the Nikon D850. The Nikon D850 is Nikon's newest highest level DSLR body. It costs like $3,300 before tax. It's sold out everywhere, and it's a pretty awesome camera so far. Still getting used to it, but you know, I've been shooting this camera for a few years now. The D800, I bought this used on Craigslist for like $1,200. Like I said, about 2 years ago. It's about a 6-year-old camera, and I use it literally every day to the point where it has like scuffs and scrapes and things all over. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the camera. The camera's awesome, but there are some things that the D850 provides that the D800 does not, as far as low light capability and just overall, you know, it's 6 years newer, so they have better stuff out there. But with that being said, you know, I built a business and did a lot of stuff with this full frame Nikon D800, and you can buy these cameras for anything between $800 and $1,000 right now without a problem. I'm not going to sell mine because I love the thing and I'm going to keep it as a backup, and I'm super comfortable with it. But sweet camera. Another camera that's very similar to this, the Canon 5D Mark II and III. This is probably super similar to the 5D Mark III, where it came out around the same time. All full frame cameras, super sweet. This is super similar to the 5D Mark IV. A lot of the same capabilities. I think this is rated a little bit better though. I'm a Nikon guy primarily because I have a lot of Nikon glass and I got used to it. But I now prefer Nikon over Canon for the commercial stuff, just for a few, you know, personal reasons after using them for so long. But in the business itself, a sector of it runs an inventory photography. You know, we do inventory photography for a couple dealerships. So for that, I use a Canon 80D. And it's 70D and 80D, which I love. Those cameras are awesome. The autofocus is really good. The colors are really solid. They're easy to shoot. They're fast. They're quick, and they have flip out displays, which is a huge deal. You know, this thing has some kind of flip out something or other, but it's nice. But it's not like what this Panasonic GH5 has. It doesn't have, you know. So if you're looking to purchase your first camera and your budget is kind of on the lower end, I don't think you should shy away from getting something like a used Canon T3i for a few $100, or, you know, I think they sell the new T6 or T7, or I don't even know what number they're at now. But that was my first camera, a Canon T3i with a 18 to 55 millimeter lens. That was a sweet setup. And then I got the nifty 50, and that was pretty awesome too. The 50 millimeter, it's like $100, 50 millimeter f1.4. Now these numbers, like for example, this is a 24 to 120 f4 lens. Pretty solid lens. Haven't been shooting with it for all too long, but a lot of people shoot with this. It's a pretty standard zoom lens that Nikon offers. As you heard me say, it's a 24 to 120, so that means it does zoom in and out. You get a lot of different types of shots with this lens. but that also comes with a little bit of sacrifice of image quality, because for some reason that's just how it is. The optics, when you have more range, are just kind of going to start to sacrifice some sharpness at certain zoom ranges. But for example, this is my go-to prime lens, and prime essentially means a fixed lens, which means that the zoom is at a fixed range, so that this is 58 millimeters. So like I said, this is 24 to 120, so you can go anywhere between 24 millimeters to 85, 70, or 70, 85, 120, anywhere you want in between. This is fixed at 58 millimeters. Now, 58 millimeters is very close to how the human eye sees. 50 millimeter, I believe, is why that's such an awesome lens. A, because they're super sharp primes, but they also show images the same way that your eye sees the image. But that aside, this is a super sharp lens that goes down to f1.4. Now f-stop, your aperture, is essentially how wide and how narrow, well, essentially how wide your shutter can get. So the smaller the number, the wider the shutter, which will allow in more light. And if you allow in more light, you can take better photos in lower light situations, and you can also, in situations where light isn't a problem, you can get a lot more depth of field. So the zoom lens is good because it's super versatile, but it shoots at f4. So typically zoom lenses won't go down to an f1.4 because that's something, an attribute only primes typically have. So f4, it's not going to be your best go-to in low light situations. Like I said, open wide up, it's not going to be as sharp. If you're shooting at 24 and you're shooting this at 58, this is going to look like a clean, proper, straightforward image, and this is going to look super distorted, because 24 is going to give you like a super wide look at things. But that could be good for a certain style of photography, like landscape photography, or if you need to get certain things in the frame. But if you're going for like details and making things look as good as they can possibly look, I mean, I love this lens, I love this camera setup, but you have to run a zoom. I keep both of these lenses in my bag all the time. I've also got the 70 to 200 and a bunch of other zoom lenses, 17 to 35, and just everything. But these are my two favorite go-to lenses as far as right now. I might pick up a 24 to 70, but that might be super annoying and technical and it might not make any sense, but I guarantee you're going to understand very soon what that means if you get into photography. But with that being said, a solid body will get you very far. You can go with something more inexpensive or something a little bit more expensive if you have the means of doing so. That doesn't mean that you can't shoot photos with an iPhone, but it definitely will help by bumping up your current camera body and lens setup. With that being said, let's roll into number two. Number two, which would be huge in anything automotive, but is super applicable for literally any other aspect of photography, which would be a quality polarizer, or CPL. Now, a lot of people, it depends on their shooting style, might not use these, or they might not even know what these are. But CPLs are super awesome, which essentially, as you can see, they're on both. Oh, yeah, I'll throw this on here so you can see. A CPL is, that's this black, essentially glass disc in front of the lens. So it's essentially, I like to call it the sunglasses for your lens, and they rotate, they spin like this, so you're able to create, you're able to polarize certain things and not polarize other things, and it's a very difficult not concept, but very difficult visualization to explain. But all I can say is that it is going to be one of the single best things you put in front of your lens, because it's going to change your dynamics of your photos and get a lot of different things out of it, the pictures that you didn't think were even possible. And you're not going to get a lot of weird random glares. You're going to be able to eliminate reflections. You're going to be able to eliminate, windshields, stuff like that. In automotive, you have to have one. In other forms of photography, even if you're shooting like a body of water, huge difference in the kind of colors you're going to be able to pull out, and the list goes on. But like I said, I shoot the B+W, what is this, digital MRC Nano XS Pro Premium. When you buy these, you just need to figure out what the diameter of your lens is, the end of it, where it screws into. So you could just kind of Google that if you don't know. This is like 67 or so, I don't know, something like that, millimeters, and then you just screw it onto the lens and you're good to go. So number 2 was Polarizer. I guarantee that's going to make a huge difference. If you don't have the means of buying a however much $100 polarizer like that one is, you could buy a cheaper one. I just always recommend, if you have the means, like I said, the axe versus chainsaw analogy, if you have the means, buy it. If not, a $10-$20 polarizer will get the job done in the meantime. Moving on, the last tip to making your photos better instantly would be investing in a proper editing program. Now, this is going to seem biased, but realistically speaking, Adobe is the absolute king of all editing programs. I mean, I use Final Cut for video, but that's a story for a different day. But as far as photo editing programs though, Lightroom and Photoshop are 2 absolutely incredible programs. What I would recommend to anybody getting started, because I'm a huge Lightroom guy, and I have a workflow built in Lightroom CC Classic, which is essentially Lightroom Creative Cloud Classic. It has like the old format, whatever. That is what I would recommend to absolutely anyone. I've seen, you can get away with free photo editing softwares and whatnot, and that might be fine. And I know I dabbled around with a couple, like a Mac program called like Affinity Photo, something like that. So that was pretty solid. But honestly, you're better off just going straight to Lightroom and figuring out how to use it. It's not all that difficult. It's pretty straightforward, to be honest with you. And you can do stuff like mass edit photos. You can do stuff like mass export photos with watermarks and create different things. And just absolutely awesome program. Super reliable too, because it's Adobe. But with that, that's a $10 a month commitment through Adobe for the Photoshop and Lightroom subscription. So that's something I would 100% say that it's worth investing in if you have the means to do so. And that will just give you so much more opportunity. Like, if you think, this could be argued, but the reality of the situation is, if you think you're a photographer and all you're doing is taking the photos right out of the camera and uploading them online, yeah, you're technically a photographer, but the photos are not gonna be where they need to be. You're never gonna impress people with those photos, because anyone can take those kind of photos. A lot of photography comes from the editing style and the attention to detail and certain ways of editing and colors and everything in between. So that's going to be a huge thing in making your videos, or making your photos better, rather. I mean, video is kind of the same. You can't be putting out just plain. You can, don't get me wrong, you can. Like, this isn't going to be really color corrected, but everything serves its own purpose, So if you're looking to add some stylistic elements to your photos, and you want to be different, and you want to have really good photos all throughout, edit them, use a polarizer, invest in the best quality body you can. The body doesn't need to be able to do video, but most of cameras now do, so you're probably going to have a decently capable video camera in any camera that you buy. Last, just a little tip: if you're going to buy a camera and you really don't care about spending a little bit extra, go with a full frame body. Even if it's used, go with a full frame body, because it's just going to be better for you overall. You're going to want to upgrade to it regardless, and they're just they're better in low light. They fit, the way a lens interacts with the full frames is proper, and that's how you want it to be. It doesn't magnify the lens like a crop body will. I'm not saying a crop body is bad, and you can get a lot of things done with a crop body, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking to spend $1,000 around there, buy a crop body. But if you have the means and you want to spend $3,000 on a camera, don't think you need to at all. Don't think you need to, even a little bit, but you're not going to do yourself a complete disservice by buying a full frame camera like a Nikon D850 or Nikon D750 or a Sony A7R II, or I think that's what it's called, or a Canon 5D Mark IV or Mark III. Honestly, the Mark IIIs are super awesome cameras, and you can get one with a 24-70 at like around $2,000, maybe a little bit more. That's a super awesome setup. The Nikon D800 is awesome. It's also like 6 years old though, so you know, it seems like a lot, but I shot with it for 2 years straight every single day, and the thing was a beast. As far as that goes, I look forward to adding some more videos to this channel. I hope you enjoyed this quick tip Monday, quick tip whatever. What is today? Monday? That being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to giving you guys some more info on anything that has to do with social media marketing, content creation, honestly cars, anything automotive. You got it. I'll be there to take videos of it. So with that being said, thank you guys again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next video.